By now, people have heard one too many promises of solutions to the country's ongoing electricity crisis. Last week, we were told the blackouts would only continue until Friday. This week, there seems to be no end in sight. Today, we are on stage 5, and it's expected to last until Thursday. President Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa currently chairing a cabinet meeting at the Union Buildings in Pretoria, looking into these matters. Well, let's listen in and see if there's a new plan to keep the country's lights on. eNCA senior reporter Aviwe Mtila in Johannesburg, and Lethiwe Mdluli, she's with us in Durban this hour. Let me start with you in Durban. Lethiwe, good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to Aviwe. What's happening in Durban? What's the latest? What's the impact you are seeing of these ongoing blackouts?
Well, Braden, frustrations are running high from residents here in Durban who have shared with us how load shedding has been impacting their lives since last week. You'd remember that stage 6 load shedding was introduced last week, and unfortunately for the city of Durban, which was exempt from load shedding in April, that meant that load shedding is back because we're only exempt up until stage 2. And I've been speaking to residents who have shared their frustrations, and I've also been speaking to businesses today. Right now we're actually in KwaMashu, which is a township around Durban, and I've been speaking to small business owners about the impact of load shedding and how it's impacting their businesses. Right now I'm joined by Lethiwe, who's a small business owner. I want to bring him in and ask him about how he's been affected. Lethiwe, thank you so much for joining us at eNCA. Take us through how you've been affected by load shedding, how your business, because you run a small business, is affected.
Ukuhamba kwagesi kungibulale kakhulu because I can't work properly. Amagwinya lawa asuke ehleli kwiwoma, angikwazi ukuthi nginika ama-customer amagwinya ashisayo ngaso sonke isikhathi. Ama-customer ayacomplaina, angikwazi ukusebenzisa umshini ka-popcorn, kunomshini ka-ice cream la ngaphakathi. Kuyenzeka ukuthi ugesi uhambe, u-ice cream usangaphakathi emshinini. So kuhamba ubolo ice cream, so angikwazi ukuthi ngisebenze kahle ngendlela. Ngiyalimala, i-profit angiyibi nayo, izinto endlini ziyabola efrijini, so nje kubi kakhulu. Yeah.
And I can see ukuthi this what you're using, this equipment is what you're using to keep everything warm for your customers.
Yeah nje ngaso sonke isikhathi bahlala bethola amagwinya ebanda, bayakhala, izinto abayidinga abayitholi ngesikhathi abasifuna ngaso. So now umshini la wa ice cream, I mean awukwazi ukusebenza ngaphandle kwagesi. Mase uhlale kakhulu ice cream uyabola ngaphakathi, so size igas for amagwinya ukuthi ahlale khona, but okunye akubi khona. Istove sama fries abakwazi ukuthola ama fries ngesikhathi abawadinga ngaso, so baze bahambe bewathenga kwenye indawo.
And I can see ukuthi lesi stove sagesi is what you're currently using to prepare amagwinya enwadayisayo and also the other stuff.
Iwona isona stove lesi segesi sisebenzisa ukuthi senza amagwinya. So asikwazi ukuthi senza ama fries estofini segesi, so sikwazi ukwenza amagwinya kuphela. So leyo nto leyo yasilimaza kakhulu thina esisebenza ngabantu. Abantu bayacomplaina ngaso sonke isikhathi ukuthi idingo zabo bayitholi ngalesikhathi abayidinga ngaso.
Do you think ukuthi government has come up with a plan, or do you think banayo plan to make sure ukuthi load shedding iyaphela, so that you guys as small businesses will be able to carry on and sell whatever you're selling?
Angicabangi because na last year kwakwenzeka same thing. Masikusondela uDecember ngalesikhathi esisebenza ngaso kakhulu, ngalesikhathi bona bawuthatha ngawo ugesi. So nje na last year ngakiba nenkinga efanayo, ngibolelwa izinto ama-customer ebaleka, so kuyabheda nje ngempela.
Thank you so much.
Siyabonga.
So, Braden, that's Lethiwe, who runs a small business here in KwaMashu, just basically taking us through how his business has been badly affected by load shedding. He was just showing us his gas stove that he recently bought. He is saying that this is able to keep his business running when load shedding affects them. This area was affected by load shedding from on Sunday, I believe, and residents, of course, have been without electricity for about 2 days. So these are some of the investments that small businesses have to come up with in order for them to keep their businesses running. Of course, not every small business can afford this, which means that for those that can't afford it, they have to shut down their businesses. Other businesses that are able to invest in equipment such as inverters, where also saying that it's very difficult, even with inverters, to keep their businesses running, because you have to basically save a lot of money, about 100,000 rand, to buy an inverter. And an inverter is only able to run about 2 hours, and only a few equipment, only a few computers, and your Wi-Fi is able to work with an inverter. So a lot of businesses are affected, and they've been telling us how frustrated they are, and also losing money in the process as well.
Yeah, thank you, Lethiwe, Mdluli. It's a very tough one, especially for small business. Aviwe, let's bring you in now. You find yourself at the ANC's offices in Johannesburg, the head office, Lethiwe House. Just yesterday, when I was speaking to Spamandla Goge in Durban, he was at an ANC offices there, talking about a different story. But the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal calling for the axing of the CEO of Eskom. I wonder what Lethiwe House has got to say about this ongoing energy crisis.
Well, we're about to hear from the national spokesperson of the African National Congress here at Lethiwe House, Pule Mabe, as you'd understand that cabinet meeting kicking off at South Africa's seat of power, the Union Buildings, at 8 o'clock. It's the second time that the president has had to come back from an overseas trip to deal with Stage 6. It happened back in 2019, where you'd remember the advent of Stage 6 came in play. President had to come back from overseas, and plans were made there. In fact, earlier on in that year, State of the Nation address, the president did mention a 9-point plan, even going as far as saying that load shed Eskom is too big for it to play. But it seems that we're back here now, where we saw Stage 6 once more, currently on Stage 5, with those plans in place. In fact, I want to rope in Pule Mabe, the spokesperson of the ANC, and find out maybe where the challenges are, given that they're the ones that pin the policies of the country. Thank you for joining us at eNCA. Pule, we've been struggling with load shedding for a while now. Promises made, but nothing seems to be coming to fruition in grappling with these challenges. Where are the challenges, and more importantly, when will we see the loss of load shedding?
Well, we are as concerned as the rest of South Africa's people are about the problem of load shedding. We have learned that there was going to be an urgent sitting of cabinet to reflect and attend to this matter, because beyond it just being issues that could be of policy, these are very much operational issues. As they appear, it's about units having to go and be fixed and all of that. So we have to understand the problems of Eskom in totality. The leadership, the infrastructure, the skill set that we have, the amount of investment that is being made, the risk management plan to deal with the issues of cable theft and all of that, the entirety of the population expected to be serviced by this important energy utility. The president was correct. Eskom is too big to fail. When Eskom fails, the country fails. When we go on load shedding, it affects industry. Operating on generators is quite expensive. And like I've said earlier on, we must not put this crisis to waste. While we understand how it affects our people, the need to innovate also becomes very much urgent and important, especially in the energy space. Looking at various other forms of being able to generate energy, power our own communities, generate jobs out of some of these things, protect our own infrastructure from those that go out of their way to steal cables, affecting the transmission. Transmission lines are affected when copper cables are stolen.
You mentioned that we also have to look operationally, and when the CEO came in, he promised within 18 months we'd see the loss of load shedding. It's more than 2 years now, and that promise from Andrew Director hasn't come to fruition. What should happen then when it comes to operations? We heard the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal calling for his head. What are the talks within the party?
Well, issues of Eskom have now gone beyond promises. We don't need promises here. We need a plan, and a practical plan, one that says this. So we need predictability. If we say we will have dealt with this problem of energy in the next 18 months, let us now outline a blueprint of what will be happening within that period, a period where we have said that things will have bettered off, so that people can be able to plan, people can see through us that there is a seriousness to try and address this crisis. We can pronounce on the best energy policies as the African National Congress. The Economic Transformation Subcommittee can see it and say, these are the steps that have got to be taken to make sure that we deal with energy security in the country. But if we do not operationally act to realize the policy undertakings that we have made, the people lose confidence, not in Eskom itself, but in the ANC. You know, I mean, South Africans who don't know, maybe some of them because of the questions that you sometimes pose to the ANC, could be thinking that it's the ANC that generates energy.
As the governing party, and you mentioned that we should have these plans, whereas we've had these plans time and again. We heard State of the Nation address, 9-point plan back in 2019, promises and plans in place, but nothing comes to fruition. Are you conceding, maybe as the governing ANC, that you're failing to grapple with load shedding as an entirety?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily, because you see, let's first deal with the question of what is it that the governing party does? You know, the ANC is a governing party. You know, it has been affirmed by the people of South Africa to constitute a government. It puts forward policies. But state utilities have got functionaries, have got people who do operational work. No one in the 86 of us elected in the NEC has got anything to do with transmission of energy there. The injunctions we make are on paper. They are policy related. It is engineers there. Sometimes in the media, when it suits all of you, you talk about the role of party and state. When there's a crisis, you remind us that we're a governing party. So we need to also, so we don't have to blur the lines, because there's the argument we make always, these people that work at Eskom, that's what I'm saying, let's look at this problem in totality. The leadership of Eskom, the board of control, are they playing the requisite oversight to be able to do what is called early detection, so that they plan upfront prior to deal with those early warning signs? You know, the leadership at the helm of Telco, of Eskom, are they providing the required leadership to attend to all of these problems? Do they have what we call a war room of sort, where all of these things are being deliberated upon and attended to?
All right.
The technicians on the ground, on the shop floor, are they bringing the skills required to move this forward? So are we investing enough? Those that are receiving energy from Eskom, are they paying their bills to allow Eskom not to be overly dependent on first cars? Because while it generates energy, which it later sells to municipalities and all other entities, including households, are they able to recoup and recover so that they are also able to deal with their infrastructure where it is ailing? And they are also able to recruit requisite skills where they are running short.
All right, thank you very much. Pulema is the national spokesperson of the African National Congress, saying that the lines mustn't be blurred. They must be differentiated, the role that the ANC plays as the policy makers, as well as the role that government and Eskom itself and its leadership plays. This is, of course, as we are undergoing stage 5 load shedding, and Cabinet sits in an urgent meeting that is to deal with this crisis.
Yeah, it's indeed a crisis, as you said, Aviwe, that's been a long time coming. In fact, the ANC government in 1997 published in a government gazette a warning about Eskom's generation capacity into the future, and then they never did much about it. And here we are today with rolling blackouts. Thank you very much, Aviwe Mtila and Lethiwe Mdluli. Tegwini. Lethiwe, you could have one of those guineas there that we saw that businessman making there a short while at Lethiwe. Grab a bite there for lunch. Thank you very much. Yes, you can smile. You are allowed to do so. Thank you very much, Lethiwe Mdluli and Aviwe Mtila.